you so much.
Hello, hello, testing, hello. Hello. No one knows me, and that's fine. My name is James Webster. I'm the Vice Director for Pride Across the Bridge. We are absolutely thrilled to have been invited here. Here to kind of help along the Q&A. I'm going to be looking for hands. I'll bring a microphone. We'll ask questions. We'll get answers. I just want to say this has been an absolutely incredible experience. It's been thrilling to see all of these. Sorry, some of those were very affecting. If we want to kind of jump into things, do we have any questions?
I just want. She's Sundeep Morrison.
Oh,
She's
yes.
the director of You Are Loud.
Yes, and we have another movie director here as well. All right. If anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Someone has a question. I see a question.
How do you connect with the subjects of your films?
So basically, I was asked to. There was a commission to do a film about acceptance journey. So there's not been too many films on trans-masculine men yet in India. There have been films on trans women, gays and lesbians, but trans-masculine people are not represented enough. So I want to find a person who, and basically like it was very difficult finding a trans-masculine person who was willing to speak on camera, but it's more difficult to find a family who is willing to speak. These people were very bold and came and spoke and very candidly. They're so beautiful. They just words flow easily out of their mouth, and they shared most of the things. So it's a beautiful experience finding these people. And also we saw that like all the family members except Merlin, whether it's a brother, aunt, everybody's like very beautiful family, and also the friends whom we meet later. So it was a bit tough finding this person, but once we found it, was a great experience to work with this person. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I see a question over here.
Before we ask the question, can Sundeep share a little bit about her films?
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
No, Sridhar, you're so generous. And
I
just,
spoke before, so.
oh no, thank you for all the work you do with Gushish. That's actually where I had my world premiere for my short film, Your Love. Thank you all for coming and supporting all of our films. But this is my directorial debut, and I'm a queer Punjabi Sikh non-binary storyteller. Yes. And so I wanted to share a story and dedicate it to our queer elders, because I know we just had a coming out day for visibility, but I think that coming out is a privilege and often a thing for safety that is not afforded to all, and also a very white concept. And so the only person you really need to come out to is yourself. So this was my love letter. Thank you for the untold and unfinished love stories, especially in my community. But thank you, Sridhar.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. So my question is kind of how this all came together. So how were these films selected? Was there a pool of films that were made? Do you guys specifically make these films? And how did this all come together for this event?
So that's should be answered by the TSAFF programming team. TSAFF basically put together these 5 films because they're all related to LGBTQ pride. So the 3 films which I produced, basically, as I said, like one was produced and directed by me, and the other 2 were produced by me under a QHD film grant. So that, if that's the question, then I don't know.
Oh, yes. So this film, I was connected to DJ Convict, who I don't know if there's some fans here, but he's based out of Vancouver, which is right across the way. And he and his team were doing a remix of the iconic song Ik Tera Pyar by Noor Jahan. There's been different iterations. And the song translates into, if I have your one love, what else do I need from the world? And so they wanted to tell a queer story. And my question was, why? Is it just so you put something out for the month of June and then you forget about queer lives? And so as we kind of were in the process of telling the story together, you know, I was grateful to be given full creative agency to tell the story that I wanted. But yeah, I think this festival is amazing. And again, just kudos to Sridhar and Sagar, who are doing profound, life-changing work. I'm just really great to be here, and I think it's important to experience stories outside of your realm of experience. So I've been really soaking up other Sri Lankan storytelling, the Tamil storytelling. So there's a lot of great content here. I don't know if I answered the question, but much love to the Sphere programmers. Thanks for having us.
Hi, this is my question for Sundeep. I love you.
I love you too, Radha.
So, you know, given that this was a music video, I would love to know your process of how you were able to pack such a strong story within such a short time frame, because you have the beginning, middle, and end there. And like, just talk us through how you scripted it, and then how you were able to shoot it like a narrative film, but just within such a tight 4-minute duration.
Shout out to my mighty sister Radha, who has a phenomenal film. It screened earlier today. Dosh, see it. It is a beautiful piece of artistic storytelling. I'm a fan of you as a storyteller and as my sister. But back to your question. So this was my first AV script, and it was a challenge because I only had 3 minutes and 18 seconds to tell a story. With credits, it's 3 minutes, 59 seconds. But I thought, how am I going to A, honor the lyrics, and B, have a full kind of narrative flow without any words? So I worked with 4 phenomenal actors, and for me, it was really doing the 3-act structure and plugging it into the build of music. So I let music be the other character in the story. And so I learned a lot about myself, and just to maximize, you know, kind of what do I say and how am I going to say it, but really it's the actors. We have Mona Sisodia, who plays the older Jaswant, and then we have Sunny M, another phenomenal actor who has another film here called How Do You Like Your Eggs? Check it out. And then we have the younger iterations, which were Anjali Kurana and Sumaya Bagai. So really our actors, there was a lot of prompting with improv, so we used a lot of that, but it really is the actors that brought it to life. But yeah, it was my first AV script that was a learning curve for me. Thank you for your awesome question.
Yeah, I just want to also mention like the 2 actresses in Malwa, Kushan. They're basically completely raw. They're not really professional actors, but they're found at a theater festival, and they've delivered such a brilliant performance. The 2 girls, always thankful to them too. Usually it's like you write a beautiful script, but then to bring it alive on screen, you need great actors. You know, that's the best thing. So yeah, thank you for them.
Hi, I'm Kovin from Houston. And as a filmmaker, I'm curious to know, especially from Sridharji, that you talked about how the last film was on a subject that is not explored a lot, which is why you decided to kind of make that. So, as somebody who's a leader in the space, which queer subjects do you feel like are still missing from the screen? And as filmmakers, it's good for us to just know when we're out to make something that we can be as unique and as sincere as possible.
See, every story which you want to tell will be the most needed, because it has to come from your heart. I don't think you need to bridge a gap which is existing. But I think, yeah, if that's the reason, but I think really there's not hardly any stories about non-binary persons, intersex persons, asexual persons, all the TQIA plus, and also there's hardly any films about bisexual people, there are hardly any films in India right now. I don't know about the other, even I would say, because we program almost like we receive around 800 films every year for Kashish Film Festival, which we run. There are hardly any films made on BTQI plus. So we need more films on them, for sure. But also we need more film on the intersectionality between caste, religion, disability, queerness. I really think we need more films on that, because a lot of films we are tired of these buff rom-coms, love stories. That's fine. We need them also. But I think we need more layered subjects. And also, like in India, we are trying to kind of shift the whole focus from the metro city stories to Tier 2, Tier 3 villages, because these stories are not told yet at all. Also, I think when you see mainstream Indian films, you see, things have changed over the last 10 years dramatically. They're more positive portrayals of LGBTQ, but they're still typical portrayals. They're not kind of exploring what is the domestic violence, what are the real issues between couples. All that is not explored yet, So that needs to come out right now in India. I don't know about the US situation. Also, we need more. I would say I want to make a gay thriller or a lesbian road movie. I mean, those are the films. We need to stop focusing on the issue. We need to be telling the stories like quote unquote normal stories. That is still missing right now in Indian context. Yeah.
Got a question over there. I've got a quick question. I'll bring the mic on over. It was fantastic seeing Merlin having such a supportive family and just community around them. I do wonder, though, what pushback in the process of filming this you might have seen with them, where they lived, where they lived.
So, I mean, Merlin's are very happy stories. Of course, most of the trans-masculine stories are not that happy. The acceptances are not that easy to come by. In Merlin's case, absolutely, everybody was very cooperative. There's no trouble at all. Nobody really was objecting to anything at all. So it was a very happy filming process till we found that person. Finding that person was much more complicated. But like trans-masculine people face a lot of stigma and discrimination and violence at home because, first of all, they're discriminated as a woman born assigned at birth, and also when they change the gender or I mean, in a transition, it's much more complicated for them. So and also trans women face a lot of most of the trans people are bullied at school and they drop out of school, and they basically, that's the reason most of them do not find employment, trans people, and also they have to move away from their homes of birth. So a lot of the trans women kind of migrate to the hijra. I don't know whether you know the term hijra. Hijra is a kind of a transgender group. It's more of a community clan. And so most of them migrate to the hijra clan because they do not have any shelter or any means of working. So things are changing now. There's policies which are being put by the government, but the policies to be implemented is not yet happening. We need more processes in place right now. But one thing I just want to mention, October 20th, just very soon, we're going to have hopefully the judgment on the same-sex marriage rights in India. So myself and my partner, we have been together for 29 years. So we're the petitioners in the marriage right, and we just hope we win it. We need that for sure.
I'm Vicky. Thank you so much for being here. It was such an amazing time and journey to see these films. They're really incredible. I was wondering, in terms of your creative processes as queer filmmakers and producers, what inspires you and how do you keep on creating new things and ideas and incorporating queer narratives into them?
I'll let you answer first. What is your inspiration? And then
So as a storyteller, whether I'm on the page, in front of the camera, or behind it, I want to center my stories in joy. That's why I wanted to show queer joy. I think that, yes, sorrow and fear and anger, those are all part of the human experience, but I really wanted to show a love story that happened to be queer. I'm a huge Bollywood fan and especially Punjabi cinema fan, and so for me to dip into that genre, it was something that was very heart-filling. And I think that, my queerness is a facet of my identity, but not the totality of it, right? So I feel like no matter what story I gravitate towards or what genre I'm in, it's always going to be immersed with myself. So by virtue, it'll be queer, even if it's not centered on queerness. But I'm, to echo your sentiments, is I'm really looking into leaning into my joy, because I think that's radical. Yeah.
So I started making LGBTQ film way long back. I was doing mainstream television, heterosexual comedies, heterosexual drama, heterosexual thrillers. There was no space for our own stories. So I quit a successful television career and jumped into producing our own content. My first film was 2002. My first film was called Gulabi Aina, the Pink Mirror, which was banned immediately by the censor board. We have an Indian censor board, which is very crucial. So basically, they banned the film. But since then, my journey for telling my own stories, there's hardly any stories in the 2000s which were being told by basically by LGBTQ filmmakers. That's one of the things. Even today, there are a lot of LGBTQ content being put out in Indian mainstream media, but not enough has been told by the LGBTQ filmmakers themselves. That we need. So we need more people, writers, camera persons, sound recorders, all who are supposed to be queer in front of the camera or behind the camera. We don't have that yet. So we are fighting for that. We need basically, like as I said, OTT platform. Every other store, every other web series has now a gay or lesbian character, you know. But most of these are not produced or directed or written by queer people. We need that representation. So yeah, so the passion is what is driving us. Basically, we want to tell our own stories, tell it authentically, and try to kind of also bring joy, you know, to all of us. Yeah.
Sorry, if we have to wrap up, I'll stop. But and a question. So you know, in the documentary, we talked about this already about how he was saying, like, you know, if you need to tell parents about like how you feel and just that openness in general. So you know, Sundeep, you're a mom too, and so you being non-binary, I'm just wondering, like, what kind of questions come up from your young children, and how do you navigate that, since gender exploration or gender identity and all that, it's just it can be a long journey for some people, but you don't want to also brainwash them in any kind of way either. So I'm just curious if you can talk a little bit more about just the social aspect, aside from your storytelling.
That's a great question. I think as a parent, as a mother, I have a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old. And I joke that, you know, it takes my 14-year-old 2 minutes to tell a 9-minute story, and it takes my 9-year-old 9 minutes to tell a 2-minute story. So there's the gap there. But I think that, you know, we underestimate kids. We underestimate kids so much. And I think that we complicate ideas and notions when they're actually very simple. So by the virtue of living in California, you know, I go into my kids' school, and they go to public school, and there's a giant wall in the kindergarten classroom, even TK, and it's all filled with different pronouns. And that is the norm that they're gonna grow up in. And so I think that if a child at the tender age of 4 or 5 can grasp identity concepts, the same way of someone that gets married turns from a Miss to a Mrs., right? And then they have a different last name if they take their partner or husband's name. I think that simplicity when someone transitions or goes by a different pronoun, that it's easy for them to grasp. So I think we complicate things far more than they need to be, and we underestimate kids. And I think the most dangerous thing you can give a kid is the idea of hate. And I think acceptance is far easier. So I really think it's the effort.
Okay, are we done? Oh, there's one more question there.
Well, I just wanted to ask about if you could talk a little bit more about Kashish and the role it plays in sort of being a platform for queer film in India, but also what it's doing to support filmmaking, you know, queer filmmaking that's being made from India.
Okay, thank you, Jason, for that. So basically, we started Kashish in 2010. 2009 was a landmark year for LGBTQ rights in India because the Delhi High Court read down Section 377. Section 377 is a law which criminalized homosexuality and other sexual behaviors. So they read down. So that gave us courage that we can have a mainstream film festival. The idea was to create a platform where both LGBTQ audiences and non-LGBTQ audiences could watch LGBTQ cinema on the big screen without any anxiety, or usually we used to earlier watch the film on a phone or a laptop or something. So watch LGBTQ cinema on the big screen was the main aspiration. We set it up at a mainstream theater, but it's very difficult to get a theater to basically give us a venue, because before that there was a film called Fire, which was a lesbian themed film which was released in India, and theaters were burned down, you know. So the theater owners were very scared to have an LGBTQ film festival, but finally we convinced them that we are organizers, we are capable of managing a good event. So the first year was amazing. We had a 232-seater, and then basically right now it's being held at Liberty Cinema, which is 1,200 seats. So we fill up 1,200 seats on the opening and the closing, and most of the, you were there. I mean, it's like goosebump moment when you have so many people cheering and clapping at every dialogue on the screen. You have a very good responsive audience. Similarly, even with Kashish, a very good responsive audience who are with the film, cheer and clap and everything. So it's been a good journey. And what is important for us also is like 70% are LGBTQ audience, but 30% are non-LGBTQ audience. For them, it's an eye opener. They've never seen films like this. They didn't know anything about lesbian or non-binary or trans men. For them to come and see these films and take back something back, a little bit maybe, that is the main mission of Kashish, and we're happy to do that. And also we've been facilitating Indian films programming at other festivals across the world. So those are the initiatives we are doing. Thank you, Jason, for that question.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm being told that we are at
Sure.
time for questions. But just wanted to say again, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you both so much for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I hope to be here with the next film. So I'm completing a film called TSAFF2023 feature length film. Hopefully I'll be here next year with that. Thank you.